Hey, it says live at the top now.
Yeah, no, I know it says live at the top now because I turned the live on. That's what I get for having two tabs open at the same time. All right, we'll try this again here from the top, from a part that most of the rest of you aren't ever going to hear again. Welcome to High and Tight. I'm John Nolan, the Prep Baseball Virginia DC or Northern Virginia DC scouting director. I guess we can't call it that anymore. Prep Baseball Virginia. I'm all flustered. Here we go. Joining me this evening is Virginia DC Scouting Director Jason Burton and Virginia DC Assistant Scouting Director Jordan Jones. On tonight's episode, we're going to discuss in-out players that we saw on our travels this week. Mostly just going to stick to that, be a bit shorter than what we will have here weekly as we go forward throughout the season. In a normal week, we will have our Power 25 in this spot. But before we get into all of that, Jason, you are back from the dead. How you doing there, bud?
Let's try this again. Not dead. I am not dead. No, still kicking. It was an uphill climb, but we got back.
Greatest diet in the history of mankind, getting the flu or whatever it was you had, right?
It was brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Jordan, how are you today?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Good. All right. Nice weekend. Pollen's popping. I'm going to be sneezing up a storm next week. So here we go. All right. In a normal week, we will have a quick discussion right about this spot here about changes in our Power 25, but we're only a couple of games into the season. So we're going to leave the Power 25 as it is this week. We will have an updated Power 25 next Monday, and then basically just about every Monday after that. Spring breaks, we might hold off on one just because of the way that goes. So keep an eye out for that on Mondays, and then we will discuss it ahead of those updates right here in this spot. Now, that being said, we're not going to update the Power 25, but I am going to take a second to discuss some of these. So there were some upsets. Burton, what are your thoughts here on week one of the high school season?
If the Power 25 was a printed piece of paper, you ball it up, you throw it in the fire. Seriously, I mean, we talked about it and not trying to not trying to really cop out of it or whatever. My personal honest opinion is, as far as Virginia goes, there is St. John's, and then there's everyone else, and that's just very cut and dry, very honest. I think I know St. John's lost. I think they had that game won 3-1, and I guess you could say kind of fumbled that away late, but. And that was definitely an upset, but that was to a Maryland school, which we try not to talk. Never mind. I'm going to keep. Yeah.
No, I'm the one who's supposed to insult Maryland. Jamie hates me for that, not you.
Yeah, that's fair. But no, the Power 25 is an absolute wreck. It is a travesty. But it'll work itself out. And like I said, there's a lot of parity in the state this year.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week when we were starting to look ahead, that especially I know Class 5, Class 6, there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of teams that could end up beating each other. Jordan, what'd you notice here in the first week of the season so far?
I mean, obviously it's first time out for guys, just knocking off some rust, trying to get back in the motion of things. So, I mean, it's understandable if some teams got off to a slow start early, but I fully expect them to get it on a little bit later and get back to their normal form. So not a big deal.
I mean, it is early season. Stuff happens. Some teams are playing tougher games right now because the ones that schedule hard non-district games, they're playing them this week, first game or two out on the field, and they'll settle into their district play. So I get what Burton's saying, and there is a lot of parity in Virginia this year, but we'll see what the Power 25 looks like 6-8 weeks from now as we start to get to May here. So God, it feels like it's like tomorrow, but it also feels like it's like years away right now. So we will talk more specifically about movement in this spot as we have future weeks here. But today, what we're going to do here, and we'll do this as well, we are going to talk about players that we saw and that stood out to us in our travel this week as we were able to get out and see games. These are going to be super quick notes. If you want our super detailed opinions, I'm going to keep saying super apparently. If you want our detailed opinions of these things, make sure you check our scout blogs throughout the season. We're going to run them at a specific day throughout the season. Jason will run his Burton scout blog on Mondays and Thursdays. Jordan will run Jordan's notes on Tuesdays, and mine is Nolan's notes. It'll run on Wednesdays. So on each of those days, we'll have a full detailed post on the players that we have seen between that blog and the previous one. So like my one on the next Wednesday will include my Friday game and what I go out to on Monday and Tuesday. So again, if you want more detail, go to those. Otherwise, we'll keep this brief and just highlight some important players here. So far, just for the record, after 1 week of season scrimmages in the 2024 season, the Prep Baseball Virginia DC staff has been to 24 games, and we've already seen 45 different teams. So I feel like we're off to a decent start there. We got a little room to go, right? 180 games last year, something like that.
If we don't get to 200, we're going to have a problem.
I think we'll get there. I'm going to have to do some work. Mother Nature hopefully cooperates with us, knock on wood on that. All right, so I will actually shut up here for a minute and throw it to Jordan first here. Jordan, your first game of the week, you went to Amherst County against Appomattox County. So why don't you talk to us about what you saw there?
Yeah, so when you go to Amherst, kind of know you're going to run into Dalton Wentz, and that night it was the Dalton Wentz show. He impacted the game immediately, making plays at short. And he went 2 for 3. He was on barrel all night. He had a big fly to extend the lead later in the game for Amherst to win. For Appomattox, it wasn't too much offense for them, but Evan Carlisle stood out in the middle of the lineup. He was promising. Hit a nice hit later in the game, but he showed an approach during the game. It was pretty impressive for him to take that big step for him in the middle of the Raiders lineup.
All right, absolutely. Burton, despite missing the first 2 days because you were borderline dead with the plague, you got a chance to see Midlothian and Manchester. How about you tell us what you saw in those games?
Yeah, I think the standout in that game was Evan Miller, junior right-hander. He allowed 2 hits, walked 3 while striking out 6 over 5 innings. Brought home the first win of the year for the Trojans. I think they only played 1 game last week. Brady Paul had one of the better offensive days for Midlow. He scored 3 of their 7 runs, and they blanked Manchester 7-0. It wasn't, and understandable. It's early in the year. It wasn't the super clean game, and it got off to a late start. Bus issues with schools these days, and no lights. So all of those things. 5:15 start with no lights is always gets everybody's day started right. But Evan bounced back from, kind of getting there late and having to be rushed through his warm-up and his prep. But, yeah, had a really strong start, 5 innings, 6 punchies, no runs.
Right. Sounds like it. 5:15, no lights. I mean, yeah, I guess. Although hard end on that game. I will say this: my Monday in the wind and cold that was Monday night was Gainesville against Heritage Leesburg. Really interesting opening night game, interdistrict between the two of them, teams that we think very highly of. Aaron Van Toyle got a start on the mound for Heritage. Really thought that he settled in well, showed his pitch mix, was able to get a bunch of outs. Got a chance to see his brother Mark pitch later on in the game. Ooh, no, there we go. That's it. Yeah, Mark came in, closed the game out. It was a really entertaining game. There was a lot of back and forth in it. One of the big moments in the game, Heritage got out to a 5-1 lead. Gainesville came back and tied the game, and they tied it on a 2-run home run from Caden Merritt, the VMI commit. So there was a lot to like there. Really liked what I saw out of Owen Brundage. Pitcher Ryan Petro was on the mound as well for Gainesville early in the game. So there were a lot of things to like in that game. There were a ton of players to talk about, and obviously can't do it justice here, so I'm going to leave that for later. Let's go back to Jordan now. Jordan, I don't know if Burton was okay with this. Jordan, you went to see Hanover and Powhatan.
Yeah, it was a very strong showing from Hanover. Offense was on fire. Put up 10 runs in the first inning. And TJ Woodson, Baylor commit, he had 3 hits on the night. He was on the leadoff spot. He really set the tone for them. And Owen Terry in the middle of the lineup, he had a multi-hit night as well. He was really did very well behind the plate, handling the staff. Then Grayson Reese in the bottom half of the lineup was very productive. A couple hits on the night. Was put in some RBI situations, and he did well in those, so that was big for him. But the big hit of the night came from Brady Elrod. He had a 2-run shot late in the game. It was a big moment for them. Did very well in center field. Texas Burton during the game. It was a ball in the right center gap, and he ran it down. It was a really good route. So that was very impressive. And then just to close the night off, Bryce Crines came in for the last inning and struck out 3. He made quick work, attack hitters, wasted no time, and got them out of there. So it was a very dominated game from the Hanover Hawks, and I'm winning 15-1.
Outstanding. Hanover with the big night there, 10 runs in the first inning will do that to you. Jason, you were down at the beach a couple different times this week. First time, Lansdowne, Princess Anne. What you got from that game?
Yeah, I kind of caught a little bit of a lot of a double dip. 4 o'clock starts are so clutch. Shout out to beach teams. I think it's just the beach district that does the 4 o'clock starts. They get out at like 2:10. 4 o'clock start, 2:30 on field BP. So was there for that. But for 10-run game, only 4 hits. So it was, I know it's early again. It's got a little bit sloppy there in the first couple innings, cleaned up late. Wasn't a ton of offense outside of a big home run off the bat of Nolan Colwell. Trevor Margatek was really strong in relief for Princess Anne. Cavaliers took advantage of some free base runners. They won 7-3 after scoring 5 runs. Big inning in the second inning. I think they might have had maybe just 1 hit in that inning. It was some wild pitches. It was some walks. It wasn't super clean baseball in that second inning, but they took advantage of the situation when they needed to. And then, with a 4 o'clock start and then a 5:45 start, I got a nice little 25-minute drive over to Grassfield and actually got there in the bottom of the second, I think. Bottom of the second for that game, Cape at Grassfield, Power 25 matchup. I think Cape was 14, Grassfield was 15, something like that, I believe. Cape scored 4 runs in the 7th inning to take down Grassfield by a final of 5-1. Andrew Hart had 2 hits and a sac fly. I thought he had a really strong week overall. Reed Downs had 2 hits of his own, a couple backside singles. And then Peyton Frisky threw 3 big innings, came in relief of Tanner Shadle, who threw 4 and only gave up 1 unearned. But Peyton came in and 3 innings of relief, 6 strikeouts, did not allow a hit. He was really strong in relief. So just a good overall night for Cape. And we'll get to them on for Friday in just a minute. You're muted.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at our sheet here, and for whatever reason, it just did not dawn on me that you went and saw them on different nights. So, all right, back to me. My Tuesday night, I had 1 game picked and ended up audibling at the last second to a second game. Ended up going to watch the defending Class 6 state champs Madison open their season against Potomac Falls. I will say the biggest jump out for me at that game, honestly, was Austin Monahan, 2024 right-handed pitcher from Potomac Falls. We haven't gotten a chance to see him. He was upper 80s, 86 to 88, a lot of 88, touched 89. Really like the way the arm works. This is an uncommitted kid who is absolutely someone that people need to be jumping on. On the Madison side of things, Nathan Tondralt, a junior, started the game. He threw pretty well for them, was able to pile up some punch outs. And then Nico, I'm not even going to necessarily try to say your name there, Papa Thanasu, I think it is. Nope, that's not it. That's it. There we go. Nico Papa Thanasu. Big physical bat hitting in the lineup for Madison on the left side is the centerpiece in their offense. It'll be interesting to follow him as the season goes on. Now that Eldridge is out of there, to see where he goes from there. All right, so let's go back to Jordan here. Jordan Cosby and James River Midlow was the next one for you.
Yeah, it was a really close game. It was a good game all the way through. Blake Lamontier in 2027. He got the offense going early. He got a big RBI single to get the game going for Cosby. Jack Waite came in the third, really strong out of relief. Had the slider going. He was getting plenty of swing and miss, and put him in a good spot to where later in the game they had a lead. Aiden Schnars came up, had a really mature at bats. He's really the leader of the team. He stepped up for him when needed to be. And then Michael Williams came out the pen and was dominant out the pen. 2 shutout innings, 5 Ks to close out the game. So that was really big for Cosby. And then just on the James River side, it's a very veteran club. Callum Early, Liberty commit, was an on-base machine, picking up a hit and a couple walks. He was really made plenty of nice plays at shortstop to keep him in the game. So it was a really good game. Cosby ended up winning 4-3, but it was a good watch for sure.
All right, Burton, I'll let you go back to the beach now. Second time you saw Cape. Go ahead, Cape and Hickory, I believe, right?
Yep.
What was the answer, by the way, for people who don't know it? What was the answer to your quiz question? You asked who's a famous alumni from Hickory.
I literally have people still still putting who the most famous one is on 3 days later. And I wasn't sure. I thought it was just kind of rhetorical. It was David Wright. Yeah, that's.
I will accept. I saw this was one of the answers. I will accept Captain America for that because he absolutely was on that World Baseball Classic team. All right, so Cape and Hickory, go for it.
No, they reeled off another big win. I want to say, and I'll look at it. I want to say they won. They were 4-0. I want to say they were 4-0 for opening week, and that's huge. Yeah, 4-0. Great Bridge, Teach, Grassfield, Hickory. Pretty solid week. Outside of the 1 inning in the Hickory game, outside of the 1 inning, they gave up 4 runs in 4 games. And I know, obviously you have to count that inning, but they won 7-5. They beat Hickory 7-5. Game wasn't close until Cape kind of let Hickory back in it with some walks and some errors. I want to say it was the 5th inning, maybe 4th, 5th inning. Ryan Hummel came in to clean it up, and he made some big pitches, struck out 3 over 2 1/3. Tanner Shadle, Nate Jensen, and Noah Hummel combined for 9 of their 11 hits. This is Shadle. This is his triple into right center. He had a big game. I think he had between both nights that I saw him, he had 4 hits through 4 innings. Obviously, we talked about on Thursday, no earned runs. I think he threw 2 2/3 or something like that. I guess it was Monday against Great Bridge. So, threw 6 or 7 innings this week and was pretty dominant. And that's why he's kind of my pick for State Player of the Year early on. It's a pretty easy one. He such a big impact in the game. But yeah, those 3 had 9 of the 11 hits. They won 7-5. And there wasn't a ton of offense to go around there. Tommy Blackburn got the start for Hickory and threw well for first, 2+ 3 innings. And then they kind of staffed it the rest of the way. He was up to 89, which was good to see. Higher slot. Changeup showed really well off of the fastball. Didn't throw a ton of breaking balls. And then Colin LaBelle, just like last year, I got to see him early. And he didn't go complete game here, but it was a really strong first start for him. Slider was working in the 2nd and 3rd inning, and he looked kind of as advertised.
Outstanding. All right. Friday night, I got a chance to go watch a really, really interesting matchup between Battlefield and Tuscarora. Keep your eyes and ears peeled. You might hear more about Battlefield later on in this week. Tuscarora in our Power 25. 6 Virginia Tech commits, 8 total Power 5 commits on the field in this game. Had a chance to watch, get a first look at Super 60 alum Brendan Cowan. Overall thoughts. Well, apparently that video didn't upload. That's fun. Overall, thought it was a decent outing from Cowan. Did get also a chance to see his teammate. Had a couple of obviously pregame BP Connor Quill, 2026 third baseman, who's a Virginia Tech commit. Connor did pick up a base knock in his last at bat of the night. Did get my first personal chance to see Tegan Leach pitch for the Bobcats. Tegan was outstanding for 4 innings, was limited on his pitch count, and they kept him under control. That Battlefield team is really, 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 really young. It'll be interesting to see how they go. They've got 5 of the top 6 hitters, including Chase Colangelo here with the base knock. Our freshman, Nico Moritz Toledo, had a really good game. Trying to do 3 things at once. Nico had a really good game, patrolled the ball in center field, made a bunch of plays out there. And then Garrett Camp came in and closed it out, a 5-1 win for Battlefield in this interesting game. The Bobcats team that we really, really like the talent for. They're going to be a younger team, so it'll be interesting to see how they go this year. Big statement win for them, beating Colgan on Thursday, beating Tuscarora on Friday. All right, so let's throw it back to Jordan, your 4th game, Walsingham and Benedictine. Jordan, what you got? Yeah, you're muted, buddy. Don't worry, I did it earlier too.
Oh yeah, not bad. But yeah, Jake Wise got the ball for the Cadets. 6 shutout innings. He was in the zone, attacking hitters early. The changeup, which I think is his best pitch, he was using that effectively, getting weak contact, swings and misses with that. And then in the 7th, he just handed the ball over to Elijah Costin and just shut the door and got the Cadets to win. It was 1-0. Costin attacked hitters. He had a shorter shape slider that was effective, get some swing and miss with that as well. But for Walsingham, Davis Neighbor got the ball, hit the Sydney commit. He contained the Cadets' offense, only giving up that 1 run. And just for offensively, Sean Souza had a productive day at the plate, a couple barrels. He had an early hit, and then he really smoked one in the gap that got ran down by the outfielder. But, I mean, it was a good pitching matchup. Not too much offense, but it was a good watch for sure.
Yeah, Susan nailed a couple of balls in our preseason first pitch series when I got the chance to see them for 2 innings. We talked about him there. Let's go ahead and throw it to Burton for the last game of the week that we're going to talk about here. Saturday's showcase here, Cox and St. John's up here in D.C. Burton, you made it north of Fredericksburg.
Oh, it was easy. I stayed in Manassas Friday night, and so I was able to kind of come in the back way as opposed to through that travesty that is the Rockville Park or whatever it is down by the river and all that stuff.
I don't know that 66 is the nice back way, although it's been nice that they finally fixed the highway. So
I can tell you right now, it was a dream. Super easy drive in. The drive out, not so much. They have bike lanes on the side, and people drive on the road. Like, drive on the bike. This is what it's there for. Anyway, St. John's took down Cox by a final score of 6-1, and what was probably the game of the week. That's probably going to trigger some people. But go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good. St. John's jumped out to an early 4-0 lead after 2 innings. Ren Devereaux had a big swing. A 2-run home run in the 2nd inning to kind of break things open. Sean McCabe was lights out. He gave the Cadets exactly what they needed. 3 in the 3rd innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 1 run, struck out 9. There were 2 balls put in play, one of which, Nolan, you can cue up, is Irby's home run. This ball was hit very hard. I don't know. I guess we should have asked Sean. From the side, obviously you don't always see what the pitch was. I asked some others. They didn't know either because they were doing the same thing as me on video and Irby. But it looked like a changeup, but he just stayed back just long enough. But I may be wrong on that.
By the way, I'll interrupt you for half a second. If you're wondering why he's saying we should have asked Sean, we may or may not have a conversation with Sean McCabe coming up here later on this week. So keep your eyes out for that. So keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, McCabe was really good. one walk, one hit batter, one hit, and then one fly ball. And his 3 1/3, those were the only people that got to leave home plate somewhat happy. He was just really, really good. Changeup was dominant with the changeup to lefties. Hayden Kaliz, the Alabama commit, he came in, made some big pitches and some big spots. Struck out 4 2 2/3. And like I said, the only offense for Cox came via the bat of Austin Irby with a solo home run, and then he smoked the ball to end the game. Smoked the ball right at the first baseman to end the game. But, they kind of won that one going away. And both teams left some base runners on and situations with less than 2 outs that both of those teams, capitalize on a lot of the time. But it was kind of a, high leverage, big situation type game or big game early in the season. So, you expect for some of those arms to work out of those situations.
No, absolutely. And I know there's some big games coming up on the schedule here this week. We're about 2 weeks away from the Commonwealth Classic, so we'll have a lot more on that as we start to get closer. Jordan, where all are you thinking of going? I'm not even going to ask you for the back half of the week because I'm only locked in on Monday and Tuesday right now. Where are you thinking of going here early part of the week this week?
Tomorrow, I plan on heading to Halifax County. They'll be matching up with Chatham. Tuesday, Mills Godwin heads to Atlee. And Wednesday, I'm planning on going seeing Atlantic Shores and Trinity Episcopal down in Atlantic Shores. So that's my first 3 of the week. I'm not sure what the rest of the week holds.
Yeah, that's a fun combination of games right there. Bert, you got any early thoughts on where you're going?
No.
You don't have the death plague, so you'll be going places on Monday and Tuesday, right?
That is an accurate statement.
All right. I know for a fact that tomorrow I'll be out to see the Warrenton rivalry between Fauquier and Kettle Run, and then it looks like I might go see the number 1 versus the number 2 matchup on Tuesday night between Paul VI and St. John's. So we'll see. There's a couple other games on the table. There's a lot of good ones. Lake Braddock, West Springfield on Tuesday night, at least up here. Colgan and Woodbridge. So plenty of stuff on the table. We'll have plenty to talk about next week. Again, make sure you guys are checking out our individual scout blogs. Burton's will release on Mondays and Thursdays when he dumps his notebook. Jordan's will release on Tuesdays. Mine will release on Wednesdays with video and much more detailed notes than what we just talked about players during those windows. We'll update the Power 25 after this week, just about every Monday. So keep an eye on this broadcast. Sunday nights will give you a bit of a clue on that. And make sure you're checking back here as the week goes on. We'll have our player of the week and our team of the week later on this week. So you should be able to see those. We'll have those announcements in the middle of the week. And congratulations to that team and that player right now. I know who they are, but I'm not going to share them right now. You guys get to watch them later. Also, side note, we have announced our summer event slate and posted our summer state games and our top prospect games. And if you want the TPG spot, you better hustle. Those things are darn near sold out at this point in time. Still a couple spots available for the summer state games. Those are our 2 biggest events in the Road to Lake Point series this summer. So make sure you request your invite as soon as you possibly can. We've already obviously filled a bunch of those spots. And a bunch of invites have gone out. So if you've not gotten your spot, please hustle up and do that. With all that said, that's a wrap on this episode. Make sure you're following us on social. Jordan, what's your social?
Jay Jones at PBR VADC, I believe. Yeah, sure.
PBR VADC. We haven't dropped the R yet. All right. Don't worry, I haven't either yet. Jason, what's yours?
K's All Day 19.
K's All Day 19. Our ground forces staff is PBR MAGF, and then I am PBR VADC _Nolan. We thank you for joining us. Keep an eye out. Yeah, go for it, George. Jason.
No, I was just going to say for anybody who's listening and made it this far and all that good stuff, if you are tagging us, I'm sure Nolan loves when you tag him because he wants to see it too, like seriously. But I think people are thinking that they're tagging the state account in there just because it says PBR VADC. There is no PBR VADC account anymore. It is the handle has changed to Prep Baseball VA. So if you're tagging other accounts that are PBR VADC that don't have Nolan in them, they are imitation accounts, and we are not going to see them. So unless we're just scrolling through, so make sure you are tagging the correct account.
Yeah, as he was saying, at Prep Baseball VA should be the new account, right, Bert? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was only half listening because I was typing that in right there. There you go, Prep Baseball VA.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the new account. So make sure you're tagging that. I've seen a lot of people tagging the wrong account, and then I got called out today. Thanks, Rob. Rob called me out today because I was telling somebody to tag the correct account, and then on my bio or whatever, it had the wrong account tagged. So.
All right. And now you're going to make me go tag the correct account again. Or the new account, or the account change is Prep Baseball Virginia. Prep Baseball VA, make sure you're tagging the main account. Make sure you're tagging all three of us. Make sure you're following all three of us and PBR MAGF, which I imagine we'll probably drop the R on that at some point in time, right?
I don't know. And like, everybody just be patient. We get DMs like, hey, you should have been at this game and you should have been at that game and da 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 da. Like, we have certain priorities that we have to work through. Not that people aren't on that priority list, but this is player driven. Our coverage, and when we go to see, it is player driven, not necessarily game driven and matchup driven and rivalry driven and all that stuff. It is driven by players, and specifically arms. We can't get to everybody in 1 week. It's only but so many of us. So just be patient, keep us in the loop with who's throwing and all those different things. And we will do everything that we can to get out there at some point. It may not be the day that you want us to come, but just keep us in the loop on that.
No, absolutely what he said. We'll get out. We'll do our best to get out there as much as we can. But like you said, arms will drive it. So that's going to be it for today. Keep an eye out for announcements as the week progresses for the team of the week and the player of the week. And then make sure you join us again next Sunday evening. We'll be right back here at about this same time. In the meantime, we'll see you guys out there.